Welcome to my fifth video for making an action RPG in GameMaker. So, as you can see on the screen, we're going to set up some invisible walls, but we do need some kind of placeholder graphic so we can remember where they are. And so that's where all of these shapes come in. So we're going to use a mixture of the boxes, the teal boxes, the blue boxes, and we're going to use those as kind of our collision objects. So, and also so that we can kind of map them out. So with that, let's kind of start setting up the sprites for this. So I'm going to create a new folder inside of Sprites. Called shapes. And so shapes is going to be where we put these graphics. So we're going to go and create a new sprite. And I'm going to call this SPR underscore blue underscore box. And I'm going to import the blue box. Figure out where my teal triangle went. And so these are 64 by 64 like our tile sets. As far as the center, it really doesn't matter. I suppose this will help with painting them on using 0, 0 top left, would help when painting them on a map, so we could leave it there for now. The collision mask, we do need to change this though, because if I were to stretch this and rotate this, the rectangular box doesn't really work. So we do want to switch it to precise. Now it's not going to make any difference visually here, but if we were to transform this box inside of the room editor, then that's going to transform the hitbox, the collider, of this shape. So we want to make sure we do that. And then I'm going to go through and add in the other ones. So I'm going to create a sprite for SPR underscore blue triangle. And we're going to import in the blue triangle. And it will get a precise collision mask. Then we're going to do that for the sphere as well. And then again, we want to set this to have a precise collision mask. So with those created, we now can then create invisible walls. So I think it's probably easiest to create a parent and have the children kind of inherit from that parent. There's no code in it, but it's a grouping mechanism to make it easier for us to code the player. So this folder is going to be called walls. And the first object inside of here is going to be called obj underscore wall underscore parent. And it has no sprites. I suppose we could make it solid if we want. It's not going to matter too much. And we don't want it to be visible. Although the children settings will override the visibility settings, so that's not a huge deal. But we do want it solid. None of the other stuff we really need to play with. So then we just go through and create a new object for each one of our shapes. So this would be object wall box. And I'm going to choose the blue box for it. And I'm going to set the parent to be the wall parent. We're going to make use of that very quickly. So I'm going to duplicate this just to save myself some clicking. This is going to be triangle. I'm going to switch the graphic to a triangle. And oops, I switched box because I didn't double click it. So you always got to kind of, when you're duplicating, you have to keep that in mind. I always forget. And then I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to make this to wall sphere. I'm going to double click it this time, and then I'm going to switch it over to that blue sphere. So let's make our change very quickly to the player so that the player will acknowledge these as solid objects. That's done in the create step. In this list of impassable objects, we want to include object wall parent. And so that's going to include all of the child types of walls. So this is considered to be impassable to the player. And here's where we can get really creative with this. You could make walls not passable to flying enemies. So maybe the flying enemy doesn't care about a river, and it will just fly right over that river. So you actually are able to kind of configure per character what it considers to be impassable. You could even further subdivide walls into different categories, like tall walls that nobody can go over, and small walls that flying things can go over. So you can get as crazy as you want with these categories. And that's actually what all the different colors are for, if you wanted to use like the teal set for like this low walls or something. So let's go to the room and let's go place some of these down. So if you recall, the stump itself didn't have colliders on it. And actually I'm going to put this on a different layer here. I'm going to go to create a new instances layer. I'm going to rename this. I'm going to call this walls. And I'm going to go place all of my invisible walls on this layer. So just for the sake of argument, I'll put the sphere here. Now we can actually just kind of resize it. We could turn off snapping to grid if that's proving to be a thorn in our side. But for now, I'll just leave it on. If I want the triangle, I could plop a triangle onto there. If I want a box, I could put the box there, extend it down, put another, well, I don't know, would that be that would be a triangle right there. Now we can rotate this triangle, so we don't need a triangle in every direction. If you hold down Shift, it will rotate in increments of 15. Yeah, it's a little bit of a tight corner there. But so you could go through and flesh out your level with invisible walls. Now, should the entire river be covered with a collider? I don't know. That's kind of a decision for if you think the player is going to be able to glitch through any of these corners and kind of be walking around like a champ on the just in the river. All right, so we've got some here, enough for us to really kind of test all the different types of colliders and make sure that all the different types of colliders are working and are appropriately stopping the player where the player would need to be stopped. So we can hit play. And I realize I forgot to set these to invisible, but you can see that they are doing their job. I can't walk into the tree. And these are appropriately blocking my movement, so I can't jump into the river. So we would just need to remember to go to these objects and uncheck visible. I mean, we could check solid. We aren't using GameMaker's built-in movement and stuff, so that's not going to affect us. But I guess in my mind, I think they're solid objects, so I check solid. Now the colliders are hidden from us, and we can't see them, but we do feel their impact. That's blocking me from the tree, and the triangles are doing their job, kind of keeping me from walking into the river. And so what you'd want to do is actually go and place these invisible walls, blocking the player out from areas where you don't want the player. So like these cliffs would need some invisible walls. The pit down here would probably need some invisible walls. However you'd want to kind of set up your level. And also by putting it on a different layer, when I'm done editing these, like when I'm done with editing all that, I can just lock the layer and turn off the layer so that I don't really have to see it until I want to go, oh, hey, let's take a look at my walls. So I don't accidentally stretch a wall or break a wall or delete a wall or even select a wall. So I don't have to look at them, and if I want to specifically pull up my invisible wall colliders, I could. And that really just wraps up what we need to do for getting invisible walls. So I will flesh out the rest of my map with invisible walls. So the next time you join me for the next video, my walls will be complete. You might want to start making sure that you have a cave level and an adjacent map level for the next video, because we're going to start looking at transition zones. So being able to walk off the edge of the map and then load the next map and have the player appear in the correct spawn point. Because like, I'll be able to enter a cave here and I can enter another map here. So I'll need to remember like which exit I took. So we're going to actually start programming like transitioning off of the stage in the next video. So thank you for watching, and may some invisible walls literally guide your journey.